Ah, courage points. You get them for going on your journey, battling enemies, and completing quests. But what would I want with a bunch of shiny gems for? I already have good food and cheer, so I got what I need. Honestly, not even worth carrying them. So let's not do that. We are here to ask what is the minimum number of courage points it takes to complete The Hobbit. The rules are simple. We don't want courage points. We leave all enemies alone, we skip as many quests as possible, and we stay as far away from all the ones that are just laying around. Let's get started. There are 12 levels in the game, and the first one, Dreamworld, has no courage points, so we can play it normally. Excellent start. We'll just skip straight to an unexpected party.
You've slept half the morning, Mr. Baggins.
Our first problem is that we start stuck in Bilbo's house, and we absolutely cannot leave without his walking stick.
I can't leave without my walking stick.
The walking stick is in that chest over there, and literally the first courage point in the game is in the way. Unlike coins from a Mario game, courage points aren't well behaved. If you get even remotely close to them, they'll jump at you. Even worse, this is a red courage point, which is worth 5. I will consider this run not a complete failure, if by the end of it I have still not leveled up. We can climb over this hill to avoid the first 3, otherwise we face no difficulties on the way down to the river. Once we get to the river, we are supposed to do a quest where we get Sandyman's tool so he'll fix the ridge for us. However, if we do that, we will be awarded 75 courage points, so we don't want to do that. While we can cross the river without the bridge, there is an invisible wall that prevents us from getting over the fence. What we can do instead is climb up this hill and then long jump to the mill's roof. From there, we can long jump across the river, over the invisible wall, and land on the broken bridge. However, the Sandyman cutscene trigger extends all the way over to the broken bridge. And after the cutscene, he spawns us right on top of 2 courage points. As far as I can tell, this cutscene is unavoidable. But at least now that the cutscene trigger isn't in the way, we can long jump across the river. Now all we have to do is open the door to the Green Dragon Inn and... By walking around the back and approaching from the other side, we can at least avoid the furthest courage point. This brings our total to 9. At least we didn't have to do the bridge quest. On to roast mutton. The first thing we are supposed to do is climb down into the valley with the wolves, then climb out the other side and make our way to where Balin teaches us to long jump. But since we already know how to long jump, we can go straight there. Next we can grab the left side of the pillar with the plants on it so we can avoid the courage points up there. The next thing we're supposed to do is climb up to the top of the dam, close the gates, and lower the water. However, if we did this, we would complete a quest that gives us 100 courage points, so we're not going to do that. If you just sort of press up against the cliff and mash jump, you won't drown. Bilbo even comments on the swamp creatures that have not spawned yet. The water doesn't even extend over into this corner for no good reason. From this little island, we'll long jump straight to the lake exit to avoid these red courage points over here. Now, if you jump strike on a sloped surface, you can get launched in various directions. This particular piece of the border wall happens to be short enough and sloped enough that we can get on top of it. You can see the starting area over there. That is the lake we just came out of, and over there is the troll camp where the level ends. Let's go there. we approached from an odd angle, the troll camp is not yet loaded correctly. Also, there appears to be some sort of invisible dome covering the place. I found a gap in the dome. From here we can just wander over to where the level is supposed to end. Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him. Bilbo has become an excellent mime. The total is still 9. And now for a level that's somehow even shorter than Roast Mutton. We can make our way up to the cliffs just fine, but instead of climbing up to the cave entrance, we will long jump to this area over here. Then we can use the same trick we used in Roast Mutton to get on top of the wall. Who needs the eagles when you can do that? Next we'll long jump along the wall over to here. Now that we're out of bounds, I tried to find my way to the end of the level at the top of the cliffs. However, there's actually a second end level trigger right behind the start for some reason. I suspect it was there for testing purposes and just got left in the game. Well, that's the end of that, I guess. Now we have the worst level. Not in terms of number of courage points, but in how many times it annoyed me. Its narrow ledges and passageways led to so many courage points there's nothing I was able to do about. Including the 3 at the beginning, and the 4 on this rope, the 3 on this ledge, this one, these 3, this one, the one up there, the 3 on this pillar, these 2, and these 2. We were at least able to avoid some. The ones on these pillars can be avoided by just wading through the lake. These 3 look like they might be mandatory. We can't climb over these rocks because they're surrounded by an invisible wall. However, there might be an answer if we go back a bit. From this rope we can land on top the ledge we are supposed to shimmy along. From there we can jump strike onto the rope's roof. Then we can land on this platform above the ledges. And after that, we can long jump onto the invisible wall I mentioned earlier. This was surely a result of skill and not random flailing about. Next up are the courage points on this rope up ahead. We can avoid them by climbing high on the first 2 ropes. We still have to collect the 3 after, though. We can get the stone giants to knock down this pillar without collecting the red courage point by just wandering around the area nearby. Now we can get onto the bridge by going around the rock on the left side. We can get the stone giants to knock down the second pillar from behind. Although we will have to get these 2 courage points while climbing up it. The 3 on this bridge can be avoided by long jumping to the chest on the left instead. The one on the second rope here can be avoided by going over the rope. This pillar is large enough that it becomes safe to grab its edge. However, we do have to collect the point in the tunnel afterwards. In this room we can long jump from the starting platform straight to the 4th pillar, then from the 5th pillar to the save point. Now we come to our first mandatory quest that I could not find a way to skip. Fixing the gold machine gives us 125 courage points, bringing our total to 170. Let's hope we don't have too many more of those. In the flooded ruins, we can long jump straight from the stairs to the first save point. Normally, we would have to wander around the ruins and find the pieces to build 2 more of those machines, which would of course award us with a whole bunch more courage points. So we're not going to do that. Another option we could try is to long jump from that island over there straight to the ending platform. And that actually does work. but we'd have to pick up that pink courage point, which is worth 25. It's quite a lot. Instead of doing that, we can climb up here. Even though this block isn't pushed out yet, we can still use it to get up to the higher area. Next, we can jump around this wall and land on this block. From here, we can long jump over to the stone spire. Then we can climb to the top of this path and long jump to the save point past the first machine we were supposed to build. Next, we can use these stone blocks to go around the left side of this pillar and avoid the courage points on the right side. Then we can use this block to get on top of the other pillar to the left. Next, we can long jump over the courage points to the pillar that we're supposed to raise up later. And from here, we can grab the edge of the upper level. We can climb up this pile of stone blocks, and then finally we can long jump to the ending platform. It was a bit of a roundabout way to get here, but at least we didn't have to get any more courage points. We have to get this point on the first rope, but at least we can jump to the roof of the next rope to avoid the others. Normally we are supposed to go down that path to a cave, where we team up with Gandalf to fight a bunch of goblins, and we would surely collect a ton of courage points. Instead of doing that, we can try jump striking to go straight up the cliff to the dwarves. However, there's an invisible wall at the top that prevents us from doing that. Fortunately, if we talk to Thorin through the wall, he will teleport us to the other side. Then we can just walk around Gandalf and go down this tunnel to the end of the level. This level cost us more courage points than every level so far combined, but on a whole we are still on pace to not level up, so it could be worse. Time to get us a precious. Right at the start, we have to get the courage points on the first 3 pillars, but the 4th pillar is large enough for us to go around. Killing any enemy gives us courage points, so we just have to jump past all these worms and hope for the best. We have to collect another 3 climbing this rope in the spider cave, but we can just jump over the one after. We can avoid the one in the entrance of this tunnel by going far to the left, and all the other ones in this tunnel by going far to the right. The one on this rope we can avoid by just walking off the cliff. Go far right to avoid the one in the entrance of the next tunnel. Then long jump against the left wall to avoid the first and third courage points near the exit. Unfortunately, I was not able to avoid the second one. After talking to Balfour, we need to climb down these platforms here. We'll just have to skip a couple platforms by just long jumping to the other side. From here, we can do a trick to skip most of the level. By grabbing the left side of this platform, we can push our way through the wall. Now we can jump to the same platform we were just on, but outside the wall. We'll need to drink a health potion for the next part. Now that we can survive the falling damage, we can jump into the next room. This room is the room that we would usually get to after we rescued Balfour. These 3 courage points can be avoided by climbing up the right side. However, we will have to collect several courage points on the way out of here, including these 3, this one, these 6, and one more when starting the minecart. We can avoid the last 3 courage points on the way to the ring by just long jumping up the wall.
Hello, what's this? A ring?
Well, that was pretty easy. Time for an even easier one. This level is a bit of a mess. There are so many walls in this level where you can just walk right up them and get at a bounce, such as the first wall in the entire game. So now we could, in theory, just walk around the map to the end of the level, except the rest of the level won't load if we stay at a bounce. Once we get to the camp, nothing past that would actually exist, so we will have to come back and bounce eventually. And we'll climb over this rock to do that. You'll notice the ropes ahead suddenly pop into existence as we get closer. That's how we know we did it right. Now we can use this tree route to avoid having to collect the courage points on the rope.
Finally, a camp! Oh my.
Now that we're in camp and have loaded the rest of the level, we should try and get out of bounds again. There's a convenient place to do so up ahead. Stay far left in the tunnel to avoid these courage points here. We could just walk up this slope, if it weren't for the invisible wall in the way. However, the invisible wall doesn't go all the way to the sides, we can just walk around it, and now there's nothing stopping us from running straight to the end of the level. And we're back. Now this mountain ahead is the roof of the arena where you normally fight the spider bosses. The end level trigger sort of sticks out through the roof, and it's around here somewhere.
Whew. Oh, the webs are gone now. I'd better catch up with the dwarves.
Let's take a moment to appreciate that we are halfway through the game with a relatively small amount of courage points, because this level is about to change that. Normally we are supposed to cross the river using that rope, but it has some courage points. What we'll do instead is long jump across the river here and jump over the fence. Make sure to grab this deep cellar key, as we will need it later.
I wonder what this is for.
Who's there?
We will have to collect these 3 adjacent to the big door's open button.
Sure, I heard something.
Next problem occurs after getting the opening crystal in front of the throne. We can't climb the stairs, so we'll just climb the rock to the right instead. After a block pushing puzzle, we have to collect these 4 in the throne room exit tunnel, and these 3 in the tunnel on the way to the stockade. There's also these 3 on the ladder up to where Balin is being held. We have to complete the Find the Dwarves quest so the guards will let us leave the stockade, which means we get 100 courage points. We also get another 3 while actually leaving the stockade. And another 1 on the way into the barrel room. This room is actually where the level ends, but the ending will not occur until we get to the Find Thorin quest, which is supposed to be the 4th quest in this level that grants courage points. Supposed to be. For now we have to collect these 2 in the tunnel going back to the stockade, these 2 near the stockade ladder, and these 3 in front of Balin's cell. We need to talk to Balin again to finish the 2nd quest, which gives us another 125 courage points, but also gives us the web potion. Also these 3 in the tunnel to outside. We can grab a 2nd deep cellar key outside, then head into the spider cave where we can use the web potion to get in and find a 3rd deep cellar key. At this point, we are supposed to get the spider's bane to drug the elf guard's tea to finish the 3rd quest, but we don't need it. In order to finish the Find Thorin quest and finish the level, we need to gather all 4 deep cellar keys and use them to unlock Thorin's cell. 2 of the deep cellar keys were just laying around outside. One of them was in the spider cave, which is why we had to do the 2nd quest and get the web potion. The 4th key and Thorin's cell are supposed to be accessed via the basement caves, which we gain access to after doing the third quest. But we have another way to get to those. I'll first cut away to explain what's about to happen. Welcome to the cider house in Lake Town, which I will use to demonstrate this trick. If we get stuck on something, or fall into the void, the game gives up and moves us back to the last solid ground we were on. Let's see that again. The trick is that the game only determines the ground to be solid if you can stand on it for a couple seconds. So if we jump every second or so, the game will be unable to move our spawn point, and so when we get stuck, we will be sent all the way back to where we were. That's the trick. Let's go back to the level and see what we do with it. We are going to stand around in the tunnel near the stockade, so the game sets our spawn point there. Then we are going to jump our way down to the barrel room. The stockade is not fully loaded while we were in the barrel room, so when we get sent back there, a bunch of things will be missing.
Is someone there?
This wall over here is glitchy enough for us to get stuck on it sometimes. We should get sent back in just a moment. Nothing seems to have gone wrong until we step into the stockade. And if you look to your right, you will see nothing. At least the barrel room is still loaded. Anyway, if we approach this doorway and look down to where the basement cave should be, we can see the last deep cellar key all the way down there. Let's go get it. I missed, but conveniently, falling into the void also triggers our spawn point, so we can just try again. Booyah! Now that we have all 4 keys, we just have to find Thorin's cell, which is just out this window. You might be wondering why the floor in this room is solid but also invisible, and that's a good question. Anyway, I don't remember the order you're supposed to put the keys in, and I can't see the pattern since everything is invisible, but I'll just keep trying random orders and I'll get it eventually.
The rest of the dwarves are waiting above. After you, King Thorin Oakenshield.
Good work, Mr. Baggins.
Quickly put on the ring because we never actually did the third quest where we drugged the elf guard.
And escape.
Now that we've freed the dwarves, we can go end the level.
A king in a barrel?
I do hope I put the lids on tight.
We did it, but it cost us more than every level so far combined, and if we have one more level like that, we level up and lose. This level is frustrating because a whole bunch of my plans almost work. My first idea was to use the same warp trick we used for last chapter to unload the cider house and get into the thieves' hideout early. We can leave our spawn point above the counter, then jump our way down to the wine warehouse. There's a good place to get stuck down here. We just fell onto the tunnel that leads from the cider house basement to the thieves' hideout, and then fell off. From here, we can actually make our way all the way through to the last room of the thieves' hideout with very few courage points, but then we have a problem. Normally, once you get the black arrow, there's a cutscene where the thieves and the goblins start fighting, which unlocks the door that you would use to leave this place. For some reason, the cutscene will not trigger. I suspect that it is checking that if we did all the quests before the cutscene triggers, and so we cannot leave like this. I have the black arrow in my inventory, but the game is too clever for us. And if you thought we could leave the thieves' hideout by going out the same way we came in, I will remind you that we got here by falling down a chute, and we cannot get back up that way. One other thing we can try is to load a save point within the thieves' hideout. If we start jumping immediately, the game will never get a chance to set our spawn point at all, and so when we get stuck, we will get sent to our default spawn point at the beginning of the level. These boxes are a good place to get stuck. Welcome back to the start of the level, but this time we've been banished to the Shadow Realm. Most of the people aren't here. Neither are the floating platforms. Neither is the cider house. Since Bard and the Master are here, let's see what they think of me having the black arrow already.
Watch the white.
Nothing, apparently. They don't seem to appreciate my initiative. This doesn't seem to be helpful. Let's just take this entire level from the top. Another thing we can try is to long jump from over near the eastern warehouse out over the lake. For some reason, there seems to be an invisible floor way out there surrounding the town. People have looked through the code and have discovered another alternate end level trigger like the one we found in Troll Hole. It is under the lake over here. However, there is an invisible floor in the way. And even if there wasn't, there's a lake. If we could unload both of these, we should be able to get down there. My first thought was to try using the cider house. So let's do it. You may have noticed that when we left the cider house earlier, there was no loading screen, and that is because going in the cider house does not actually unload the main area, so this idea doesn't work. All of the other potential loading areas that we could use all require doing a quest to get into, so let's do a quest. Even if we tried to avoid these three in front of the Master, talking to him would collect them all anyway. We can't make our way to the wine warehouse in the usual way because of these courage points, but luckily this whole level is a big loop, so we can just approach from the other side. There are 8 courage points leading to the trigger of the Follow the Thief quest. I'm pretty sure we have to collect the back 7, but the first one can be avoided by staying as far right on the stairs as possible. The actual thief quest can be done as normal, so I'll just skip to the end where we gain another 175 courage points.
Strange. I bet.
At least now we can make our way back onto the water to mark our spawn point out there, then go inside the east warehouse to unload the invisible floor and the water. There's even a nice place to get stuck just inside. Once we warp back outside, we can fall onto the end level trigger, or wiggle around to find it if we didn't line ourselves up properly. We are getting dangerously close to leveling up, and there are still 3 chapters to go. This level isn't going to stop us though. We have to collect these 2 right near the entrance, but then we can use this railing to climb on this block and get up to the second level. Next up we can climb onto the second level railing, then use that to climb onto these stone ruins. Then once we're on top of those, we can reach this chain, which we can then use to get to the third level. From here, we can run clockwise all the way to the save point at the back of the room. From the save point, we can then go grab this ledge and safely fall down to the lower level. If we grab this ledge right next to the pillar, we can just slide right through it, just like that trick from Riddles in the Dark. Now we are behind the big door that is the entrance to Erebor. The end level trigger is if we can get far enough out there over the void. However, there is an invisible wall in the way. Luckily, the invisible wall was only meant to stop us from climbing the stairs until we raised the water for the dwarves to cross. But since the stairs have not spawned yet, we can just go under. If we run off at an angle, our forward momentum should be slow enough to get under. But that isn't good enough because we don't get far enough to hit the end trigger. After passing under the wall, we can do a jump strike for just a little more oomph. Let's hope the last two levels are as much of a mess as this one was. This one might be. All the doors from this first room are locked. Normally this level would start with a block pushing puzzle to open them, but that would complete a quest that gives us 100 courage points, and so we don't want to do that. Good thing that isn't the only way to leave this room. We can use the lift tunnels up on the second level. Usually you only get to the second level by riding the lifts from another room, but our good pal Durin might be able to help us out here. Now that we're here, we can just walk down the lift tunnel to the treasure room. The end of the level is when we grab the Arkenstone in that vault over there. To get it, we are first going to go to the gear room. The right wall of the gear room is also the back wall of the treasure vault. What we're going to do is leave our spawn point in the tunnel, then go back to the treasure room. The gear room is not properly loaded when we are in the treasure room, and so that wall will not be there when we warp back. The tops of these chains are a good place to get stuck. We can see the Arkenstone back there. Let's go get it. Despite being invisible, the gears happen to still be here. Three health should hopefully be enough to survive the falling damage. Good enough?
The Arkenstone, the heart of the mountain.
There is just one level to go, and we still need 196 courage points to level up. I'm feeling confident. It's simple enough to just walk around these first three. Normally, we are supposed to go fight these goblin archers to rescue the dwarves, but killing them would give us some courage points, and finishing the Save the Dwarves quest would give us even more. Instead, we can climb up on top of the barrier, take a moment to line ourselves up, and... rude. So it turns out leveling up is good for something. One shot, full health, no chance. Let's try again with the ring. As I was saying, we can do a jump strike from the barrier to get on top of the wall here. Now we can walk all the way around the battlefield to the exit. Since we are on the wrong side of the barricade here, we can actually sneak around this wall to the left. The end of the level is over in that unloaded void over there. The place we would need to approach from to convince it to load is down there. But if we went down there, we couldn't get back up here. So it's time to start jumping. We'll leave our spawn point up there, head over to the loading area, then go find some place to get stuck. We'll just turn around and keep jumping past the now loaded goblin archers, busy turning Corwin into a pincushion. I'm sure he'll be fine. Still continuing to jump, we'll make our way to this ladder back here that is supposed to drop after saving Corwin. It's a good place to get stuck. Now we're back up on the cliffs between the dwarf battle and the Corwin battle, and the area ahead is now loaded, so we can drop down and continue to the next save point. Once we are there, we have to climb up these stairs where we get 12 more courage points. To make things even worse, as far as I can tell, we need to do the quest where we get the catapult to destroy the wall up ahead. At least instead of going and getting the switch to lower the ladder, which would cost us a couple courage points, we can climb onto this catapult and use that to knock down the barrel. Luckily, this quest only gives us 150 courage points, which brings our total to just 966. But anything else like this will end our run. We don't really have any problems crossing the river, but then this cutscene with Bjorn spawns us on top of 2 more courage points. 968. Climbing this chain also gives us number 969. But at least we can climb over this wall to avoid the other 2. Next up, Bjorn kills a goblin during this cutscene, and the courage points drop randomly, so I might have to reload the save once or twice until they fall in a pattern I can avoid. Or alternatively, since they come from an enemy death, just wait around for them to despawn. Now we are supposed to lower the bridge for Bjorn to cross, by making a way along this path to the other side, and then destroying an explosive barrel over there. However, instead of collecting some courage points along that path, we can just throw rocks to destroy the barrel from here. Never mind that. Lowering the bridge is a quest, and gives us 200 courage points, so we are going to have to take the path after all. At least we can long jump from the bridge to that dock over there to avoid most of the courage points on the path, but I always seem to collect that one, 970. Now we can continue following the path to the other shore, but since we can't lower the bridge, Bjorn won't destroy that wall behind the goblins, which is the thing that normally allows us to leave this area. If we're going to get out of here without Bjorn, we need some way to get over the big wall, and one of these ruined wall segments has the answer we need: a sloped surface. I'm sure Bjorn can find his own way across the river. The end of the level is over in that unloaded void over there, so that's going to be a problem. Let's just walk backwards along the wall until we find where the loading area is. Oh yeah, we are doing this. Since we're already on top of the cliffs, we might as well try to stay up here. Could be useful. Up ahead, we can see Bjorn found his way across the river, although he can't kill Bold because of these goblin spellcasters using Force Cage on him. Normally what we are supposed to do is wander around the valley and use those blue barrels to create convoluted traps to kill the goblin spellcasters. One of the barrels is just over here, so let's start with that one. We can use the catapult to get up on the cliff in front of the fence, then we can do a jump strike to get on top of the fence. There is an invisible wall preventing us from jumping forward off the fence, but we can jump up to this cliff over here. There is an invisible wall up here too, but it doesn't extend all the way down the cliff, so now we can go shove the barrel. I always thought these barrel trap cutscenes were pretty cool, but it also felt like a little bit of a silly ending for this game. So it turns out that the game doesn't check that we've killed all 4 of the Goblin spellcasters, and only checks that we've killed the 4th one, which we just did. So, well, it's a bit of an anticlimax. That's it for the game. And that's the Hobbit with the minimum collecting of courage points. We managed to finish the game without leveling up even once. Our total score was 970. That's 9 from Unexpected Party, 162 from Overhill and Underhill, 19 from Riddles in the Dark, 427 from Barrels at a Bond, 185 from Warm Welcome, 2 from Inside Information, 166 from The Clouds Burst, and 0 from all the other 5 levels. 850 of them came from the mandatory quests, and the other 120 were just in our way for some reason or other. This isn't necessarily the end. There may be some ways to avoid courage points that I didn't find. I even managed to remove some during the recording of this video, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was still more to be found. I will be leaving a full list of all the collected courage points in the description. If you think you have an idea of how to remove some of them, leave a comment. Or better yet, dust off your copy of the game and try out the run yourself. I might make an update video if some new discoveries are made, but for now, this is where the story ends.